Hey, 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 we're here from my back porch and Tom's in his usual spot. Actually, no, he's in his basement office, right?
Yes, indeed.
So
for another couple days.
Even though we're in a different spot, I'm going to ask you the same question. Are you willing to find out the answer to all your problems, all your concerns right now? We're going to fix it right now. That's what we're promising you. Give us 5 or 10 minutes. It'll be golden. Okay, that's not true. You know it and I know it. We do this every morning. We're going to ask you to think about things in a different way. We are renegades. Boy, we are renegades. Oh boy, so much to talk about there. We could do a week on that. We are renegades, and as renegades, we're going to ask you to figure out what your question is right now. What is the thing you're stumbling over, you're struggling with? And we want to give you a simple strategy that we're going to discuss and get to over the next couple of minutes that we think is going to help you because, frankly, it's helped us. And someone asked me yesterday, Tom, do you guys map this out completely? And so you have a script and you're rolling through a script the whole time. I thought it was rather funny. That's just how good we are. This is more organic, and I don't apologize for that. I don't like a programmed presentation. This is not that. This is two guys trying to figure out what can work for us and trying to figure out in this constantly changing world that we're in, ways to move forward. And this week, we've been talking about confronting risk, and we've had some great discussions all week. I actually went back. I couldn't get to sleep last night, and I was listening to all of them as I was wide awake. And it's like, well, what will put me asleep? You and me. So it was really interesting. And I think in summing up the whole idea of risk, I felt like one of the things I was watching, or as I was listening, was how much negativity we assign to risk versus positivity. And we talked about a lot of the negative aspects of risk. And the note that my nephew Chris sent us pointed that out as well, that we often look at risks as a negative. So I want to really, this morning, zero in on the positive aspects of risk so that we close the book on risk this week with the good side, because we need risk, right? No risk, no reward.
Absolutely. Well, and it's all risk. Everything we do almost is, you step out of our house. There is some risk involved. You could twist your ankle. You could, whatever the case might be, or that you could walk into the person who's going to change your life. And I think if we don't take some of those risks, we never identify those positive things and the things that are going to happen. I was thinking about this last night, and every time you get ready to take like that first step, do you get this feeling in your stomach like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do it, maybe I'm not. And yet once you take it and you get the results, whatever they may be, you just feel a whole lot better. And it's odd that if we really want that better feeling, we have to take those first steps, take that risk. I took a risk, you took a risk, we got married. I took a risk, got married, have 3 kids.
Just so we're clear, Tom, you and I took a risk and did not marry each other.
Correct.
I wasn't looking for your expression. I should have been. The way you said it, you just threw it together so quickly. I took a risk, you took a risk, we got married. It just sounded to me like we got married. And in some ways we are married at times. It feels that way, good and bad, but that's not what we're talking about.
No, but I think we find those opportunities. We find those things that in the long run are going to make a difference. If we look back, I would bet people look back on the times they took risk, they had more reward than negative impact on it. That the risks they took those steps, good things happen one way or the other.
I'm not sure it's always good things, but something happened. Risk is a catalyst to something new. And if you think about it, something new is what we're always, we have no choice but to deal with everything. Everything's new.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's fair. I mean, I think it's one of the things that, I guess, perspective. I know whether.
I'm sorry. I got some feedback all of a sudden. I'm back with you. I'm sorry.
Oh, what?
No feedback. I was hearing myself talking like 3 minutes ago, and I was trying to figure out how I could be talking without my mouth moving.
Fascinating. Interesting. You a ventriloquist now?
I was going to make a joke about someone that we know, but I'm not going to do it.
No, not going there. No, I think that the thing is, it's interesting though. I think if we look at all experience as gaining information and knowledge, isn't that good?
Absolutely. I think that's the upside of risk.
Right. And so the more we look at it that way, the more risk we might be able to take, knowing that something good is going to come out of it. We're going to gain knowledge. It may impact us differently, might be negatively, positive, whatever the case might be, but we're going to gather information that's going to allow us to move forward.
Right. I think that's ultimately the thing that we're talking about is it's a catalyst to change. Change isn't always good or bad, but it's funny how things that I worried about, when I was teaching college a couple of years ago, the students would be so worried about an exam. And you could just see the tension. And I'd say to them, guys, let me just give you the real truth here. You will not remember this test in 5 years. In 30 years, this test is so not going to matter in the scheme of things. So let it go. Just, have it just be this moment and learn from it. And by the way, what can you do differently? Well, I should have studied more. Okay, you learned something.
Right.
Oh, I should have gotten more sleep. Okay, you learned something. Does that test result alone, if you get an A versus a B, does that test result alone really define you as a person? Oh, but I won't be able to go to the medical school. What? Okay. What if you weren't meant to go to medical school? Well, I thought, that's what my parents have said for me. And we would go down this rabbit hole. And what I found in that situation, and I started to see it in myself, is we often assign one risk a domino effect. If I don't achieve this, if I don't jump out of the airplane, the people on the ground wanting to shoot me on the video landing will think I'm a less of a person. They'll harass me. I'll have to go into work tomorrow and tell people that I didn't jump out of the plane. I'll feel bad. I spent all that money. I didn't do, and we just make it the simple risk of, hey, do I want to jump out of the plane or not, becomes this big thing. And I think that's what we do in business. I've certainly done it. I did it yesterday, Tom. I didn't talk to you about it, but I had totally taken the thing we were doing yesterday and tied it all the way out to my retirement fund in the course of like 35 seconds, because that's, we magnify the risk. And like you said the other day, we minimize the reward. But if we look at things as just experience, now it's not that up and down. It's just, oh, wow, okay. What did I learn from the experience? What did I learn from doing this thing? Well, I learned I should do this. Maybe I should do that. We've learned a lot doing these things at 8:30 over the last 2 months.
Absolutely. And one of my friends says to me all the time, or a good friend of mine, after everything, they always ask me 3 things. Okay, what went well? What would you have done differently? And what went well? What would you change? Sorry, what went well? What would you change? And what might you do differently? Something like that. Why can't I think of it now? But it's really telling you to say, look, what did I learn from this experience? What did I gain from taking that risk? And use that as knowledge, not use it as a judgment of whether it was good, bad, went well, didn't go well, like none of them.
Or your self-worth.
Right. It's just an opportunity for you to examine what you've done and figure out what might I do differently. Or, man, that went really well. I need to continue to do that and move forward. And once we've taken that step, now we have the opportunity to gain and move forward. So the risk is actually just about, what am I going to learn from this?
Right. Which sounds really silly. And wait, or I'm sorry, it sounds really rational, but the application of it is so difficult. I mean, I've read this, I've heard this. We're not saying anything anyone hasn't figured out. It's just, how do you apply it? And I think the way I stay grounded and deal with these risks is surround myself with people who encourage me to take the risks, even when I don't want to, who help me calibrate afterwards. Hey, wow, you expected this, but what about these other things you got? And what did you learn? And hey, you know what? You're a smart guy. You're going to use this to do better. Go. And I like to compare it, because for most people it's scary. Every time I speak on a stage, I learn something. I learn things about me. I learn things about the audience. You have technology glitches. I did one presentation where the microphone was just going in and out. I ended up just turning it off and talking really loudly. And that was one of my best presentations, because people had to move in to hear me. And what that taught me, here's the craziest thing. What that taught me was, even with the microphone, you can talk really softly. And when you do it, people zero in. And if you use that to make your point, you can really kick butt on the stage.
Yeah.
And I never knew the power of volume until that day.
I learned that early. I had a boss who took, I forget the course you had to take. There was some course he took, and it was about speaking softly, which would cause people to focus. And it drove me nuts, because we'd sit in a meeting and I'd have to really be like, what did he just say? What? But I was on the edge of my chair, and I was trying to focus all the time, because I was afraid I was going to miss something. And I do have to thank Neil, who's saving me here. So he was able to say, what should I stop doing? What should I start doing? What should I do differently? Thank you, Neil. Appreciate that. Couldn't come up with that on this Friday morning, even though I've heard it a million times. But I think you're right. I think there are, all of these things are things that we learn. And I think
we're willing.
If we're willing. And that's the thing. So here's the thing I talk to a lot of my nonprofit clients about, is events. And I was bad at this. I just wanted the event to be over. You had spent hours and hours and hours in planning, and you're doing all the behind the scenes work, trying to make sure everybody has a perfect experience.
You mean like a big annual event, right? You don't mean like the 20 people coming for a tour of the office. You mean like the big gala or the 5K or the, big events that take years to plan, right?
4-day event with 1,500 people there and 1 million events. And literally at the end of the day, you're just, at the end of the event, you're like, oh my God, if I don't ever have to think about that event again, it'll be great. And we would then sit down sometimes when I was really focused and look back at not just like, did people enjoy the food? What were people's what were the things that we could do differently? What went really well? And how am I going to change that? And how are we going to look at that next year? And so I talk to them all the time. It's not just like doing the event is only part of it. The follow-up and evaluation of the event is maybe the most critical piece, because you now figure out that was a complete waste of time. That event was no good because we didn't get enough people. We didn't raise enough money. It cost us too much to do. It took too much time. So we need to think about doing something differently. But if we just went by, oh man, people love this event. They come every year. They can't wait for it. It's great. Those are just anecdotal evidence that, did you see what I did there? Anecdotal. Now I'm all
anecdotal, not antidotal.
Correct. And so it was, you just don't get a true evaluation of the event or of the risk unless you really sit down and evaluate, like, what have we done? How are we going to use that information to then help us move forward?
Now watch me bring this full circle, Tom. You're going to love this.
We are all, better talk softly.
We are all focused right now on the event or what it is we're doing with our business, because it's all been thrown upside down because of what's going on with the economy, with the pandemic, with all the other, with workers being able to work at home or whatever. So we're being forced to do the evaluation that you're talking about. And we as business owners, we as leaders are doing, but also the people we serve are doing it as well. I have someone who styles or cuts my hair. It's been 2 months. He's in Baltimore City. We're not allowed to do that yet. I'm not sure when he's going to be able to cut my hair. So I'm starting to look at options. It's not his fault, but that's just the reality. And that's because the risk to me is I don't like my hair this way. It's way too long for me. So I have a risk I need to figure out. And in the past, when I've made a decision based on this type of feedback or feeling, I've made a bad one. So I've actually held on longer, and that's the experience. But we're all going through that. And I think that's the thing ultimately we want people to think about is we're all trying to assess what we did that worked, what we can change, and how we can move forward. And this to me is the beauty of our current situation is anything is possible right now. You're not stuck or confined by the normal constraints. You could be a restaurant that did Mexican food 3 months ago, and you could come out and be an Italian restaurant when you can finally open. And no one's going to go, oh man, I really missed the tacos. They're going, oh wow, you opened again. Congratulations.
Right.
And I am trying to challenge people as much as I can to take this opportunity. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to rebuild the way you want to build, whatever that looks like.
Right. Absolutely. You can reinvent yourself if you want. I mean, and people who are looking at that and thinking about it are doing all the time. Now, is that a risk? Absolutely. Absolutely a risk. And they are going to learn a whole lot about themselves, their organization, where they're going, what they really want to do, and see where they come out on the other side of it.
By the way, Tom, I want to tell you, I went back and listened to all of our episodes for the week. You did not use the word but one time the whole week. You've used the word and consistently every single time.
That is intentional.
I know. You started one day, you had a but and you early in the week. But yes, I've noticed that. So I just wanted to commend you. We haven't talked about that, but I saw as I strung them together, like, okay, there's something going on here. So Tom, what's the one thing someone can do today? Oh, let me do a little pitching real quick. Have a Ring of Renegades Facebook group where we're getting people together who are confronting the risks, taking on the challenges, and supporting each other as they move forward. You can find that Facebook group, and we'll be happy to have you join us if you haven't already. If you're in that group, bring a friend. We'd love to have that group grow. We're doing great things. The other thing I wanted to mention is in the Ring of Renegades today, we're going to do songs that tie to risk, whether it's a song about risk itself, or I can think of a song that when I was in high school played when I put my heart out there to a girl.
You're not going to say too much, are you?
No, I'm not. No.
When you're getting ready to say too much.
No. The risk was I told this girl that I really loved her, and it was and I got the Just Friends speech.
Just Friends speech.
Yeah, which by the way, there's no Just Friends speech song. That's the song I should write.
There you go.
Taylor Swift gets close a lot. Katy Perry they fall at maybe, yeah, but not quite there. Everyone's going, oh my God, I thought he was old. He knows Taylor Swift and Katy Perry. I do. I shake it off at least twice a day.
I'm not thinking that because two very popular pop stars who came on the scene 5 or 7 years ago means that you're not old. Like if you'd have come up with something else, like Ariana Grande might have been good.
How about Lizzo?
There you go. Now
it's all about the juice.
Like you're not too old.
I like Lizzo. I like my Lizzo. That's a go-to for me.
Fair enough.
If you're not watching this, you have to see Tom's face when he gets that look like he's going down a crazy road. So Tom, what's the one thing someone can do besides those things I just gave them?
Yeah, I would say that always reevaluate. When you take that first step and take some risk, remember that one of the important pieces is going back. What did I learn from that first step? Don't just take a huge, enormous first step, because they all are, and not step back and figure out what did I gain from that.
I love that. I'm going to suggest that one of the things that I find people struggling with is the idea that they don't track what the risk actually is. So being more specific about what you're doing and what that risk is. Oh, we send an email. Okay, did you send it in the morning? Did you send it in the afternoon? Did you send it on the weekend? Did you send it on a holiday? So really thinking about what that risk is, because when I work with companies and individuals to really confine what that risk is, we often get a better understanding of the experience. Think of an email. If you send an email at 9 o'clock on a Monday, that's a lot different than sending it at 5 o'clock on Friday. And so knowing what your true risk is, because I'll say to someone, 5 o'clock Friday, are you checking email? No. Okay, so if your open rate was low, that tells you that your people are normal Friday afternoon people. That doesn't tell you that you should never send another email ever again.
Right.
And that focused attention and figuring that out, to me, that's part of what risk is. Because I think we tend to take a small risk and make it, I can't send email because no one opened it. Or I can't do a video. Someone told me the other day, I can't do a Zoom video because it never works. I'm like, how many times have you tried it? Well, once. Okay. You're right. Statistically, it didn't work for you.
Right.
But there are Zoom meetings, I could give you 1,000 that I've done the last 2-3 months, probably, with no problem. Really? Yeah. Maybe you should take that risk again because you're assessing it based on way too small a solution set.
Right. Very good.
All right. Well, Tom, we went a little long today, but I think we covered a lot of good ground. I love this week. We will be doing a session later today, you and me, where we talk through what next week's topic is. And I can tell you I look forward to that because I have no idea right now.
Excellent. I like it when that happens.
Exactly. So I like it because you encouraged me to get my glass of whiskey out. And that makes it better for me. So
good way to celebrate the end of the week.
That's it. Folks, have a great day. Join us in the Ring of Renegades and get ready with those risk songs. My first one's coming up in about 3 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, everybody have a great day. If we don't see you in the Ring of Renegades, we will see you on Monday morning back in here bright and early. Take care, everyone.